There is a profound difference between compassion and foolishness. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, understood this distinction when he wrote that we must be like the rocky headland on which the waves constantly break, standing firm while the sea rages around us. The ancient Stoics taught us that helping others is indeed virtuous, but they also warned us about the danger of indiscriminate kindness. Seneca observed that some people are like broken vessels. No matter how much you pour into them, nothing can ever fill the void within. Today we explore 6 types of individuals who, despite their pleas for assistance, will only drain your energy, corrupt your peace, and ultimately betray the very hand that feeds them. This is not about becoming heartless, but about becoming wise. For as Epictetus taught, we cannot control others, but we can control our responses, our boundaries, and most importantly, where we invest our precious time and energy. In the shadows of society lurks the perpetual victim, a soul who has mastered the art of suffering without ever learning the discipline of responsibility. This person approaches you with tales of endless misfortune, painting themselves as the helpless protagonist in a tragedy that never ends. They speak of cruel bosses, unfair circumstances, and the world's conspiracy against them. Yet when you offer practical solutions, they dismiss each one with excuses. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that we suffer more in imagination than reality, but the perpetual victim has made suffering their identity. They do not seek help, they seek enablement. They want you to validate their helplessness, to join them in their pit of despair, and to become another character in their victim narrative. The Stoic recognizes that true strength comes from taking ownership of one's circumstances, not from dwelling in self-pity. When you encounter such a person, offer them truth instead of sympathy. Tell them what Epictetus taught his students, that every setback contains within it the seed of growth, but only if we choose to plant it. If they reject this wisdom, if they cling to their victim identity like a drowning man clings to an anchor, then walk away. Your energy is precious, and it should be given to those who use it to build, not to those who use it to wallow. Then there is the manipulator, perhaps the most dangerous of all energy thieves, who approaches with charm and calculated vulnerability. This individual has studied the art of human psychology not to heal or help, but to exploit and extract. They know exactly which emotional buttons to press, which guilt triggers to activate, and which strings of your heart to pull. One moment they are singing your praises, making you feel special and needed. The next they are painting you as heartless if you dare to set boundaries. Seneca warned us about such people, noting that those who seek to control others through emotional manipulation have already revealed the poverty of their character. The manipulator operates from a place of fundamental dishonesty, viewing relationships not as mutual exchanges of value, but as opportunities for exploitation. They study your weaknesses not to help you overcome them, but to use them against you. They remember your secrets not to support you in times of need, but to leverage them when they need something from you. The Stoic response to manipulation is emotional detachment and clear boundaries. When someone tries to guilt you into helping them, when they use phrases like, "if you really cared," or "after everything I've done for you," recognize these as manipulation tactics. A person of true virtue asks for help directly and accepts rejection gracefully. They do not attempt to emotionally coerce you into compliance. Among the most frustrating individuals you will encounter is the ungrateful soul, who approaches help not as a gift to be treasured, but as an entitlement to be expected. This person accepts your assistance with the same casualness with which they might accept a free sample at a grocery store, showing no appreciation, no acknowledgement of your sacrifice, and no recognition of your effort. They take your time, your resources, your emotional investment, and then move on as if nothing significant has occurred. Marcus Aurelius taught us that we should do good without expectation of reward. But even the Stoic philosophers understood the importance of gratitude in maintaining the social fabric. The ungrateful person violates this fundamental principle of reciprocity. They take the gift but reject the relationship. They accept the benefit but deny the obligation. What makes this particularly toxic is that their ingratitude often extends beyond mere thanklessness into active resentment. They begin to view your help as something they deserved all along, and may even come to resent you for making them feel indebted. Seneca observed that those who cannot feel gratitude cannot truly feel joy, for gratitude is the foundation of contentment. When you help someone who is incapable of appreciation, you are not just wasting your resources, you are enabling their spiritual poverty. The wise person helps those who recognize help as a gift, not those who see it as a right. There exists a particularly draining type of individual that the Stoics would recognize immediately as toxic to the soul: the energy vampire who feeds on negativity and spreads it like a contagious disease. This person enters every room like a dark cloud, bringing with them an atmosphere of complaint, criticism, and cynicism. They speak only of problems, never of solutions. They discuss only what is wrong, never what is right. They focus obsessively on what they lack, never on what they possess. Every conversation with them becomes a drain on your emotional reserves, leaving you feeling depleted, discouraged, and darkened. Epictetus taught that we become what we repeatedly focus on, and the energy vampire forces you to focus on everything negative and destructive in existence. They do not seek help to improve their situation, they seek company in their misery. They want to drag you down to their level of despair to make you a fellow traveler in their journey through darkness. The Stoic understanding of emotional contagion warns us that prolonged exposure to such negativity will inevitably affect our own state of mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote about protecting our inner citadel from external corruption, and the energy vampire represents one of the greatest threats to that inner peace. When you encounter such a person, limit your exposure, maintain your emotional boundaries, and refuse to be drawn into their vortex of negativity. Your mental state is your responsibility, and you have the right to protect it from those who would poison it. Pride, as the Stoics knew well, is the great corrupter of character, and nowhere is this more evident than in the arrogant person who pretends to need help while secretly believing they are superior to everyone around them. This individual approaches you with a performance of humility, but beneath the surface lies a deep-seated belief that they are entitled to your assistance simply by virtue of their existence. They do not ask for help, they expect it. They do not appreciate guidance, they tolerate it. They do not implement suggestions, they dismiss them as inferior to their own thinking. The arrogant person seeking help is engaged in a form of elaborate theater where they play the role of the needy while casting you as the supporting character whose only purpose is to serve their agenda. Seneca observed that true wisdom begins with the recognition of our own ignorance. But the arrogant person has convinced themselves they already possess all the wisdom they need. They seek help not to learn and grow, but to manipulate others into doing their work for them. They want the benefits of assistance without the humility that should accompany receiving it. The Stoic recognizes that helping such a person is not compassion but enabling. It reinforces their arrogance and prevents them from developing the humility necessary for genuine growth. When someone approaches you for help but displays an attitude of superiority, when they act as if they are doing you a favor by allowing you to assist them, recognize this as a red flag and redirect your energy toward those who approach help with genuine humility and openness. Perhaps the most dangerous of all is the destroyer, the individual who takes your help and weaponizes it against you or others. This person does not simply waste your assistance or fail to appreciate it, they actively pervert it into something harmful. They take your kindness and interpret it as weakness. They take your trust and use it to betray you. They take your resources and use them to harm the very people you sought to help. The destroyer represents the dark side of human nature, the capacity to take good and twist it into evil. They may smile when they accept your help. They may express gratitude and promise to use your assistance wisely, but their true nature reveals itself in their actions. They use the information you share in confidence to damage your reputation. They take the skills you teach them and use them to compete against you unfairly. They exploit the connections you provide to advance themselves at the expense of others. Marcus Aurelius warned us that some people are like wild animals, incapable of being domesticated by kindness, only contained by strength. The destroyer falls into this category. They view your help not as a gift to be treasured, but as ammunition to be used in their personal wars. Seneca taught that we must be generous but not naive, kind but not foolish. When you recognize someone as a destroyer, when you see that they consistently take good things and corrupt them, the Stoic response is immediate withdrawal. Do not give them another opportunity to turn your virtue into their weapon. The path of wisdom is not the path of unlimited giving. True compassion requires discernment, and genuine kindness demands boundaries. The ancient Stoics understood that helping others is indeed a virtue, but like all virtues, it must be practiced with wisdom and restraint. Marcus Aurelius helped the entire Roman Empire, but he did so from a position of strength, not weakness. Seneca counseled emperors and students alike, but he chose his recipients carefully. Epictetus taught his philosophy to those who came with genuine hearts and open minds, not to those who came to argue or exploit. Your time, energy, and resources are finite and precious. They represent your life force, your potential for good in this world. When you give them indiscriminately to those who would waste, abuse, or corrupt them, you are not being virtuous, you are being foolish. The Stoic helps wisely, not blindly. They assist those who will use help to build, not those who will use it to destroy. They support those who show gratitude, not those who display entitlement. They guide those who seek wisdom, not those who seek enablement. Remember, saying no to the wrong people creates space for saying yes to the right ones. Protect your inner citadel, guard your energy, and help from a place of strength and wisdom. This is not selfishness. This is the highest form of service to humanity.